online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads from over 200 countries and your #1 source in after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
What's up, After Buzzers? Week 2, Monday Night Football. Woo! We're here.
Yeah, we are.
I am your host, Christina Kaplan. I'm joined by my lovely cast.
Thaddeus Massey's here.
Hey guys, I'm Stef Z.
And yes, like I said, week 2, we had the Colts versus the Eagles tonight. And can we just make a mention of who was correct on the game-winning predictions last week?
Okay, so let's start off with scores. Okay, so
Thank you.
Christina Kaplan's were all 1 for 1 because me and Steph had actually predicted the first game right, and you got this week right.
Yes.
So our records are 1-1.
Right.
Yes.
And I'm sorry for the fans out there last week that felt slighted. I got stuck in my phone last week on camera reading all these, sucked into all these stats. But I will pay attention and I will not neglect you in the future.
Oh, what a good egg.
I'm sure everyone really appreciates that.
Yeah.
So this week was a nail biter, and I really didn't expect this to happen the way it did. It was
Well, yeah.
Me neither.
Back to back.
Clearly.
Back to back come from behind wins for the Eagles. Last week they defeated the Jags after not scoring any touchdowns in the first half.
right.
Same thing this week against the Colts. They ended up winning 30-27
Yeah.
by 1 field goal.
And this is the first time in NFL history, I think, that a team has come from behind to go 2-0.
Yep.
Coming from a 14-plus
Yep.
point deficit, and I don't know how many years, or maybe ever, or something like that.
Yeah, no, it was. I'm not sure if it was ever, but I know if it had happened before, it was a long time ago. Like
Right.
It's a pretty major comeback for
Right.
them.
Right.
And I think it's only like the second time they said that the Eagles were 2-0 in like 15 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that what it was, the second time?
Something like that. It's a very good start for them.
Yeah, which is shocking.
Why is that shocking?
Because you don't expect it. And you know what's funny? Just watching this team, I was able to really analyze their gameplay, and the defense it's not bad, it's not great, it's above average. They have a decent defense, but their offense was lacking, except for the 2 guys in the backfield are probably the best tandem running back team in the NFL. You got Darren Sproles and LaShawn McCoy, and these 2 guys are so dynamic. They're playmakers, and you have a change of pace with these guys because they can both break the game wide open, but they have totally different styles. So they're really able to to break a defense down if they get just a little bit of open space.
Right.
You get them a seam.
Well, see, for me, what I was going to say was that I was shocked because there's something about Foley's, that he doesn't seem to me to have the presence of a leader. He's a good quarterback, don't get me wrong, but like he looks a little like when he runs for it, he looks a little not
unsure.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's unsure.
So for me, last week when we were thinking about it, it's like you got Andrew Luck, who is a playmaker. I feel like Andrew Luck is one of the quarterbacks. We've talked about this. We've talked about the different generations of quarterbacks. The quarterbacks that run more, use their feet more, like the Kaepernicks, the Wilsons, and then the quarterbacks like the Peyton Mannings, the Tom Brady's that are more ahead. And I feel like Andrew Luck is one of those quarterbacks that really harnesses both. So I just thought that he was, when you just think about it like that, it was just like, okay, the Colts are going to win. And I was a little bit shocked, and it wasn't like, I don't know, it's kind of, and I'm not just saying this just because I picked the Colts, but it was kind of like an end of the game, like, ooh, they won. It wasn't like they dominated and beat the Colts.
Right.
The Colts were playing bad football.
Well, I think the problem with Andrew Luck is he is a very, very good quarterback, but he is still young. So the minute that he starts making mistakes, he kind of tenses up a little bit and gets a little bit hesitant with his throws. And you kind of saw that in the game tonight. He threw that interception late. Was it in the third quarter? I think it was late in the third quarter. Which really wasn't his fault per se, because there was a block that could have been a penalty on T.Y. Hilton that resulted in the interception. But he had a couple of questionable throws.
Oh, you mean it wasn't a block? It was a hold.
Yeah,
Like,
it was supposed to be
Yeah.
a penalty. They didn't call it.
He was getting held, and
he wound up falling down.
It turned to be a pick, and it was like, what? You guys aren't going to call that? But
Yeah.
those things happen. It's just part of the game, I guess. It was a miss. It was a miss on the refs' part. They missed that.
Right.
The refs had a couple misses. But I get what you're saying about Andrew Luck, because, you know, we see that, well, I don't know, like, he normally does bounce back, though. You know what I mean? Like, he definitely had pass after, like, he just had an off night, I think. Like, pass after pass was, like, on the ground, too high, he didn't hit his target. Like, there was a few that, you know, when you hit the receiver's hands, it's kind of their responsibility to catch it. But for the most part, the incomplete passes were due to him.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about the two offenses led by Foles and Luck. The Colts were 29th in rushing last season and 3rd in passing. The Eagles were 8th, I believe, either 7th or 8th in rushing last year.
Mm-hmm.
So we all know that the Eagles have a very strong run game, and the Colts used to be, or at least last season, their pass game was the strong.
Right.
And we saw kind of a flip-flop tonight,
Right.
where the Colts used Ahmad Bradshaw a lot in the run game.
Yeah.
And the Eagles were trying to pass the ball a little bit more. And I think maybe that switch of offense, I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, what kind of resulted in the missteps for these two quarterbacks. Thaddeus, what do you think?
I think that and just piggybacking on what Steph said earlier. I mean, Foles didn't really, especially the first half, didn't really perform at all. And then the running game is actually, they went back to their bread and butter.
Right.
The second half, and that's actually what put them over the top. McCoy, Sproles.
Yeah. No, Sproles is unbelievably fast.
Yeah. They're
And-
both fast.
Right.
They're
But
both really fast.
yeah, but and they
Sproles is
both
like a lot shorter, so you see his legs are like.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
He's
think
got to make more steps.
right, so I think maybe it's like an optical illusion that he looks like he's faster just because he's
No,
so
he's
small.
fast. No, but he is really fast.
yes.
Though.
No.
Yeah.
And he's
Boy can
strong.
run.
He's really strong, and you got to get, really low on a guy that's that strong and that fast, because you're just dealing with the momentum and physics. You really have to you have to hit that guy right. Like you saw that one touchdown that he scored. He looks like he got broke in two. But one of the key fundamentals in football is to always keep your legs moving. Keep your legs moving. As soon as you stop moving your legs, obviously you're going to go down. You're tackled.
Right.
You keep your legs moving. Keep your legs moving. If your legs are strong enough and you get hit and you keep your legs moving, what you're generally going to do is you're going to bounce, or your legs you're going to stay up. There's going to be some kind of stalemate, and that's what he was able to do, and then just kind of push himself into the end zone. I mean,
Right.
those hits weren't soft hits. He got smacked a little bit, but his legs are moving so much that it wasn't enough force to really bring him down.
Right.
And then he was just able to get that nice little surge and just, get in the end zone.
Well, speaking of Sproles and McCoy, and we also saw this with Bradshaw too, it's the running back position is kind of evolving, and in order to be a more valuable and better used running back in the offense, I feel like now with the more pass-centric offenses that we're running into in the NFL, that these running backs need to be like what we saw tonight, where they can run the ball, but they can also catch the ball. Because Bradshaw had two receiving touchdowns tonight, 3 in his entire career, and 2 came in the game tonight.
Right.
So
He was getting kind of shut down tonight too. Like he had a couple of decent
He had some
runs.
good runs.
He had a couple good runs, but overall, I mean, what was his average? Do we have his average of what he rushed for? Like
Bradshaw was
rushing average?
13 rushes for 70 yards and 5 receptions for 26 yards with 2 touchdowns.
Okay, well that's not bad actually for
was...
rushing. That's actually pretty good.
Right.
But there were times I think when the defense was actually, I think it was probably momentum. It's timing. So if you have like a momentum surge and then the defense comes and shuts you down during the momentum surge, then sometimes those runs, if they don't end up resulting in a final end result, like what happened with McCoy and Sproles, there's no points comes out of it. Then it's kind of like, well, they're kind of nullified. It's kind of like, okay, well, you have some good runs, and then there's a series where you have to end up punting the ball.
Right.
So your run game is kind of established, but not really. So let's pass the ball a little bit.
I feel like back to your point, Christina, is that yes, I do think we are seeing more and more versatility with these guys. You know what I mean? And first off, Bradshaw, being an ex-Giant, and of course, me, I like my New York teams. But I mean, first of all, for his injury last year, coming back, running the way he's run, like he's awesome. He's back. And it's really good to see any player come back, from an injury and be like out there doing his job and doing it right. But I do feel like there is definitely an element of versatility, whether it be some of these guys being on special teams to over here, like people wear multiple hats more and more now.
Right.
As these games go on, as the league goes on, and it's like if you can't be a double threat or a triple threat, you're gonna get less plays, you're gonna get less playing time. So it is. I definitely agree with you that is. It's apparent that that's more and more, what's happening. It's happening on both sides.
Right. And that's how Darren Sproles made a name for himself in this league, was
with the Chargers,
being able to catch the ball, run the ball, and a dynamic punt and kick returner as well. And you see how well he fits into this Chip Kelly offense, which is constantly changing the line. One minute they have 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, and a back. The next minute they have no running backs on the field. You know what I mean? He's just constantly changing up, trying to keep the defense on their toes.
Right.
And so if you add into that the versatility of these running backs, I feel like, tell me if you agree or not, that this Eagles offense becomes that much more dangerous.
It definitely becomes more dynamic. It kind of reminds me of The Greatest Show on Turf back in the day with the Rams, when they were able to use Marshall Faulk in different sets. Like, you don't know, this guy can go out and catch a ball like a receiver. He has hands like a receiver, or you can dump him in the backfield and hand the ball off. So they do have that dynamic to their offense, and it's just great to watch them actually execute it. The come behinds are really like I guess if you're a Philly fan, then obviously you're biting your nails for that entire game.
Right.
You have to love it. I mean, it just makes it that much more fun to watch. I mean, that's what sports is all about. You don't want to watch a game that's like, obviously this team is going to lose, or this team is going to win. It's not fun to watch anymore. So Philly is impressive. They're impressive. I want to see Foles step his game up a little bit though.
I agree.
And a couple of the other receivers were dropping passes. I can't remember. I saw some guys drop some balls though. They were that Foles dropped some dimes a few times and hit the guys in the numbers, and they were dropping balls.
So my next question is, how long do you think this Eagles offense can last, with this scoring no touchdowns in the first half? I mean, what do they need to do? I don't think that they can continue to be successful and continue with these come-behind wins if they continue to struggle in the first half. I mean, what do you think that they need to do in order to fix their slow start?
Start Mark Sanchez.
Really? You think that's the key?
Oh my God, no you didn't. No, you didn't.
I'm just joking.
No, I'm
just joking, guys.
No, but it is. I feel like it is. What I was going to say is it has something to do with Foles, and I get that the plays are called, but his presence, you don't see him emote. And I get that, some of the best of the best. You got Peyton Manning, you got people that are always poker face.
No, but it's a body language.
But it's a body language.
It's a body language as well.
And even when he has to run, it's like he's, not that he's scared, but he's hesitant. He's hesitant. I feel like there's a hesitation, and that's why it lasts so long. And then there's a trust that he's like, okay, if I do this, my guys are actually going to do good. Right. And there's something else with Foles that I got to bring up, and I don't know, whatever. But, it kills me when a quarterback cannot slide.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was flopping around
like
a bit
head
out there.
first.
Yes.
Like that's number one, how people get hurt. Number two, it's just like, again, a confidence thing. It's like you get in there, you get it, you pop up, you're good. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think it's funny because, as you mentioned, Mark Sanchez, he had a problem sliding when he was with the New York Jets, and they actually had him practice with the Yankees to learn how to slide.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm clearly, you know, you have the Philadelphia, what's their team, baseball team. They can go practice with
the
someone.
Phillies?
Yeah.
Oh, the Phillies.
I'm like, the
Phillies,
Philadelphia
yeah.
Phillies. I'm like, wait, that sounded weird. But yeah, like, clearly it's accessible for him to do that, for him to learn. Like, I don't know how you get to the NFL being a quarterback and not know how to slide to protect yourself and to make that play.
Here's the thing. There was some times when he was making, just his defense, when he was sliding forward, he was trying to get those extra yards because they were really on the comeback trail. They were really trying to come back.
Right.
So, but it was just a matter of how it looked.
Yeah.
Because there were some times it looked like he just really belly flopped, and it looked like it really wasn't under control. It's like, dude,
wasn't under control.
You're gonna get hurt if you keep
And that
doing
was
that.
like one out of the like 4 that he did.
Right.
Right. Well, Nick Foles is, or at least last year, was a very successful quarterback. He had 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in 2013, which is the best touchdown interception ratio in NFL history. So
Wow.
you know that he can do it. He's got the weapons. The question is now, what is this hesitation that, you know, he's just slow to start? It's maybe a lack of confidence, I think.
How many receptions did McCoy and Darren Sproles have?
Sproles had 7 receptions, and I'm not sure how many McCoy had.
But I mean, is he throwing downfield a whole lot? It doesn't seem like
Yeah,
he's
he threw for 331 yards, whereas Andrew
Yeah.
Luck threw for only 152 or something
but
like
is he,
that.
but is he
172.
throwing downfield because he still gets passing? Like if he throws like an out route or like a flat route to a running back, any of those after catch yards will still count towards his passing yards.
Right.
So, I mean, how is he throwing downfield? I don't really. I mean, I
It
saw him
was like
throwing downfield.
one bomb.
He threw a decent amount downfield, but
Not
a
like
lot
a
of
huge-
incompletion.
Exactly.
There
That's
was
what I'm
like
saying.
one catch.
So is he like dumping? If he's doing like small dump
Yeah.
off passes, short
Yeah.
passes, like the whole Joe Montana thing, 5-10 yards and let the guys run.
Well,
then I think that's how he was getting a lot of his
Exactly,
yards.
that's what he was doing because he's got Darren Sproles and LaShawn McCoy that after the catch can gain so many more yards.
Right.
So I think maybe
Rack yards. They're called run after catch guys.
Right.
If you didn't know that, rack.
You know,
There
what
you
I
go.
think is cool talking about statistics that Andrew Luck had 172 yards, not 52. Sproles was the one that had 152, so he almost had as much as Andrew Luck.
178 total yards for Sproles, so he
Yeah.
had more.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it said 152.
Yes, that was his passing yards, but if you include his rushing yards, which was 26.
Oh yeah. But
had
I
a
was saying like
total.
passing versus the quarterback passing yard.
Right,
like
right,
he
right.
was like really close to the quarterback. I was like, that was pretty interesting.
Well, like what we
statistic.
talked about earlier, that just goes to show you that the Eagles were passing the ball a lot more and the Colts were focusing more on their run game. The problem for the Colts was they still struggled with the pass completions.
Right.
You know, T.Y. Hilton was getting the majority of the receptions and dropping a lot. There were a lot of incompletions, a lot of just, maybe missteps on Andrew Luck's part, maybe, just good coverage on the Eagles' part. But
He actually showed that he can run. I was actually impressed with how
Yeah.
well he can run.
Who, Luck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luck he can run.
He
I'm
can.
telling you, he's that hybrid. He's got both worlds going on.
He doesn't have wheels, but he can get away from you if you let
Right.
him.
And he also played pretty well under pressure tonight. The Eagles' pass rush was intense. They were
Oh, yeah.
they
Yeah.
were blitzing him left and right, and
He got creamed a few times.
right. He didn't really, there was one play that they showed on replay a couple times where he literally, it was like he was getting contacted as he released the ball, and it was a perfect throw.
Right.
I don't know who caught it, but so he's doing well under the pressure. But I think that it's just he's still young and he's still just developing.
I mean, any quarterback, no matter how seasoned they are, you're only gonna be able to take so much pressure.
Right.
You know, if you're getting constantly blitzed and your line and your backfield is not able to pick up this blitz, and look at what happened with Peyton Manning in the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Right.
So this is a guy who's obviously a Hall of Famer, and it's like, I'm one guy. This is a team sport. Where's the help?
Right.
Kind of thing. And Andrew Luck is a young dude, and he's really, really talented. But a quarterback is only going to be able to take so much of that. I think he was able to get away a couple times because he's like, okay, they're coming. Found a seam and he ran, or he was able to dump the ball off, or he just ran it.
Yeah.
So I think those guys have to step it up if they want to. If they want to do anything this season, they're gonna have to protect that guy.
Another interesting Andrew Luck fact that we were talking about earlier, that this is the first time he's lost 2 games consecutively
in his career.
In his career.
No, in his professional career in the NFL.
In his
in the
professional
NFL.
career,
Yes.
correct.
Yeah. Which is,
So-
he's still new into the league, but I think that's pretty, that shows that he can bounce back. Like, he gets beat, and he's not like the rookie that gets beat, and then he, goes into a tailspin and can't get out of the funk. You know what I mean?
That is my next question is, how do you think this is going to affect him? Because it's never happened before where he lost 2 consecutive games, and to start the season off 0-2 is difficult.
I think he'll be fine.
You think that it won't affect him at all?
No,
I think he's gonna. Who do they play next week? Do you know?
I'm not sure.
I think he's gonna come out and kill it.
They should, theoretically speaking, have won this game.
Absolutely.
But the intangible was the fact that if everything stayed the same, obviously they would have won this game. The Eagles came out the second half, and their intensity just escalated as the game went on.
Right.
And it got to the point where they're just kept themselves in that game, and they got to the point where they're actually in this game, and it created a nail-biting situation. So it was really,
They got lucky.
the Eagles?
No, well, that's what Chip Kelly.
I wouldn't say the Eagles got lucky. I would say that a couple of guys took the team and carried their team on their back at the end of the game when it mattered.
Well, even
And the Indianapolis didn't really respond. Their gameplay stayed the same, and you have to, your intensity has to increase, or to overcome or to match the team's intensity if they're doing the same thing, and they weren't doing that.
But what I mean by they got lucky is that they were able to capitalize on plays. They got a fumble so that they got the ball on the 25-yard line.
Yeah.
That was the best field position they had started with all game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they got a touchdown. Like, if certain things, they had a huge interception from Andrew Luck. You know what I mean? Like, if certain things like that wouldn't have happened,
Yes.
they would not have won this football game.
Right,
Yeah, absolutely, you're right.
I think the pivotal moment in that game was towards the end of the third quarter. It was 3rd and 11. Nick Foles threw a pass to Zach Ertz, their tight end, for a 21-yard gain for the first down.
That was downfield.
Yeah,
Yes.
that was the one I was talking about.
That was like one of the only passes I saw that he threw
Right.
all game that was actually a
Right.
downfield pass.
And that just changed the momentum of the game.
Yeah.
And it all was just in the Eagles' favor. They took advantage of that and they ran with it. And one thing that Chip Kelly, really imparts in his offense is a mental and physical endurance.
Right.
So the Eagles' offense will wear you out and then take advantage of it in the second quarter. In the second half.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw that the Colts were kind of down. They lost the momentum and weren't ever able to kind of gain it back.
Right.
And I'm wondering, is that going to be the key that, will make this Eagles team successful, is if they continue with that just wear you down intensity?
There's been a lot of teams that have done this whole come behind thing. They have the stamina, and what they do is they'll see what your whole game plan is, make you comfortable in the first half, and they come back in the second half with adjustments and whip you. And it's happened. There's been a lot of teams that have done that. And is that their style of play? Is that what they're coming with this season? It kind of seems like it.
Right.
So, we'll see how long that lasts, but I just don't think, unless they're able to improve on that they will be able to do that with a premier elite team in the league. They're not gonna be able to come back.
Right. Well,
Well, but that's what I was going to say real quick about the stamina thing. It's like, I understand that if the game was 0-0 or 3-3 or tied like in the beginning, and then their stamina, the other team just tires out, so then they take the lead. But I feel like it's not exactly that, because I mean they were down at one point 20-6.
Right.
You know, like they're like the comeback kids. It's like they almost have to ease into the game, then they wake up and go for it. You know what I mean? It's not just like a we got you, we're gonna hold you down, you're gonna hold us down. It's not like a stalemate and then they just like outlast the other team because the other team got ahead in the beginning.
Right. Well, for the last 6 of 12 games, Philadelphia has gone without a touchdown in the first half. So obviously this is a pattern for them, but I don't think that you can continue to play like this against tougher teams, against stronger defenses, and be able to come back every time. You know, it's very taxing on these guys to have to come from behind every game.
And it's inevitable that there's going to be some injuries, people get hurt.
Yep.
I mean, you know, it's just the nature of the game. And then, you know, when that happens, then you're really up shit creek, you know, because you're like, well, what's going to happen now? What do we do? Because we don't have these factors that are able to help propel us to get that win that come from behind type of scenario. It's really a gamble to do that.
It's going to become exhausting too. Again, like, you know, and I know I talk about the Jets a lot, but whatever, but like we had a huge, I think it was like 9 games or something we had that we didn't get a touchdown in the first half. Like we had it terrible, and it was like watching the game, you're always like, you just knew like it was, they were tuckered out. You know what I mean? It was just like,
She said tuckered.
but it was like the mental energy, everything. It was like, man, you got to do it this time. You got to do it this time. You know, like I feel like for teams to come out and get shut down and shut down and shut down, it really becomes taxing, even if you do, you know, get these from behind wins. So yes, that I agree with you. If it keeps going this way and they don't score in the first half, soon that stamina or whatever for the comeback is going to be not there anymore.
Right. So do you think that the key to them fixing this problem lies on Nick Foles, or is it the play calling? Because if you saw every single time in the first half that the Eagles got into the red zone in scoring position, they got shut down every time.
Right.
Second half,
It's got to be
not the same.
Both.
I mean, at this level, it is a little bit of both. I mean, when you're a guy like Peyton Manning, for example, who has the leverage to go and just call his own plays, how he sees it at the line, you know, that's why he gets so much credit for his accomplishments and the productivity that he brings to the table. But quarterbacks have the ability to do that in general. You know, they're able to, they'll take a play from the coach, but if you see something, you know, you're gonna make that last call. You're gonna flip the play. You're gonna audible the play to something else. You're gonna do something that that you have to. You know, you always get the credit. You're the pitcher of baseball. You're gonna get the credit for the win. You're gonna take the blame for the loss. It's just the way it is. So, just based on like what me and Steph has been saying, I just feel like he is performing, but there's that
the
factor.
ownership.
Yeah, it's
It's a lack of confidence.
Make me feel confident in you being confident enough to lead this team.
Well, yeah, and that's what you're saying, Thaddeus, is that of course there's a mix of the play calling this, but it's not only are they going to do it, it's the quarterback's responsibility, because they can see it better than anyone calling plays from the sidelines. If they see it's not going to work, they have to have those guts to call that play off and to make stuff happen. And then the only way that they're going to earn that respect and credibility to be able to get to the Peyton Mannings who call their own games, stuff like that, is by doing that time after time and it working. And I feel like he's not doing that. I don't know, maybe he does call some of his own plays, but I feel like, again, he's just, you know, and I think he's good. I mean, I don't want to come off the wrong way and think that he's not a good quarterback. I just think that if he was to take that ownership and be a little bit more confident, he'd be that much better, and they'd start scoring in the first quarter. I mean, the first half.
Right. Well, that's what I was saying, too. Another stat from 2013 is that Nick Foles led the NFL in passing with 119.2 passer rating. And also, that was the third best in NFL history.
Right.
So, like I said before, you know that he can do it. He's capable of it, but it's just this lack of confidence, it seems, that he's kind of just slow to get into the groove, because this is exactly what happened last week or in week 1 against the Jags. Is that was the whole question going into this game, is which Nick Foles are we going to see? The first half of the Jags game, Nick Foles, or the second half? And it was just the exact same scenario.
I mean,
so
just from my own experience, you have, you know, different kinds of like offensive coordinators and quarterbacks, right? And you have some offensive coordinators and QBs that have like more of an attack mentality, and then you have some offensive coordinators that have the let's react, let's see what they throw at us kind of mentality or you know, approach, and you know, you get that from them. So it just kind of depends. It seems like maybe the Eagles have this more of let's see what they throw at us, and then after you've seen the best they've got to give you, now you just kind of you block it. Okay, now we're gonna hit them with this, we're gonna hit them with that, we're gonna hit them with this. Of course they give you game film, right? You watch game film all week, you prep for the game, but at the same time you still don't know what they're gonna hit you with and when they're gonna hit you with it and how they're gonna hit you with it. All you can do is kind of assume, well, we know they like this, we know they like this, we know they like this. But then again, that's what the matchup is all about. We haven't seen them do that against us.
Right. And how much are you really able to see? Because all you have is preseason, and then they're lost to the Broncos in week 1.
Right.
So obviously the Broncos are a very good team, a very strong defense. So I'm sure that, I mean, I know that you adjust your plays and your defense and everything based on who you're playing. So even though they watched the film against the Broncos, that doesn't mean that the Colts are coming out with the same or similar, you know, strategies against the Eagles. So you're right. Maybe that has a lot to do with maybe the Eagles. This is just the way that their offensive coordinator, or that Chip Kelly, is he the offensive coordinator as well, or do they have a separate one?
I'm sure they have an offensive coordinator.
Well, a lot of the times, well, I shouldn't say a lot of the times, sometimes.
There's not a team in the league that doesn't have an offensive coordinator, I don't think. I'm pretty sure
that the head coach doesn't do any. Is that only college that happens, where the head coach will?
I'm sure the head coach calls plays.
Yeah,
and
I'm
says,
sure they go back.
But there is still an offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm sure the head coach, you know, can veto and has the
right.
He's got the final say.
He's like, no, we're gonna do this.
Right.
But,
so then maybe like you, that's what you were saying is the issue is that's kind of their
approach.
Their approach exactly is that they kind of wait and see what's thrown at them and then adapt to it on the fly.
Yeah, because some teams do that. Some teams have that kind of thing where they just go out and they're like, okay, let's run this, let's run that, and then like sometimes coaches are like, let's just throw a bomb on the first play, like just to shake them up.
Yeah.
You know, remember the game is like very much psychological. It's not all about just the plays. And sometimes the things you do can just like. Is like jar a team. Like for example, I've been on a team where, you know, we come out the first play and it's like, let's just throw a bomb, and you just, you know,
see what they do.
And then the other team is like, really? They're just gonna disrespect us like that? Like the first play, you're just gonna go for a Hail Mary, like just go for a bomb like that on us, like we're nothing, like we're nobody. That actually seeps into the minds of the defense. They think like, wow, we've just been disrespected. Like they didn't come out with a conservative run or something like that. So there's different things and different strategies that, you know, offensive coordinators use, and defensive coordinators also, you know, but, you know, just in this situation, I'm sure they sit back and they kind of play and react and just, they want to have a reactionary kind of thing. I think that's what their thing is. But, you know, like we were saying, I don't think their team is savvy enough. They're not refined enough to beat an elite team that way. They're not going to beat an elite team in that manner. It's not going to happen. They will not be able to come back. Maybe score some, but not be able to close that gap and you know, pull out a W. It wouldn't happen.
Yeah, and that's kind of again going back to the lucky a little bit. That it does.
It does. But see, the Colts are not an elite team. So
I don't know.
I don't consider it lucky.
Not lucky, but it worked tonight. Like we're saying, like we all keep saying that it's not going to continue to work. So, you know, for lack of a better way of saying, since it did work tonight, it was kind of like lucky that it worked tonight.
They play next week. That's what I want to
know. I was trying to look it up.
Okay, but so you say the Colts are not an elite team, even though they won the AFC South last year.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
that
the
I
Eagles
agree with
won
that.
the NFC East last year.
We'll see.
So you don't think that the
Colts?
You don't think the Colts will repeat this year?
I mean, where'd they end up last year?
They won the AFC South.
Well, what happened? The goal is to win the Super Bowl, not win the AFC South.
No, I know. They weren't obviously in the AFC Championship, so I don't know which.
I don't know.
What round of playoffs they lost.
I'm not. This year, I don't know. They are 0-2.
Yeah.
So I'm not really. That last year was last year. This year, I'm not really. The Colts, I'm not really feeling. Andrew Luck is an elite player. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Bradshaw's a dope running back. I'm just talking about the chemistry of the team. I'm just talking about as a team. I'm not sure this year they're an elite team.
Oh, see, I think they are, and I think that they just haven't found their groove yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
We'll see.
I feel like from one year to the next, I don't know.
Well, last year is all you have to judge on, but
Right.
you know, I'm just
Well,
using
you know,
instinct.
you have to judge last year and the trades and the players and the new, you know what I mean,
Right.
and all the new stuff that happens. And with that, I think that the Colts definitely, like, you know, some teams are like, hell no, they're not going to make it to the playoffs. You know what I mean? But I feel like they are one of the teams that have the ingredients to be elite and to make it. Whether or not it will come together and happen.
For years,
but
the Chargers were going to the playoffs every year. They were good for the playoffs every year, and they were never considered an elite team. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it's kind of like, well, some teams are good for the playoffs. They're, you know, okay, this team will probably make it to the playoffs.
Well,
But
it's so early to tell because
Yeah.
I
an
mean
elite
the
team is someone who I
Colts.
feel who has a good shot to win, to go to the AFC or NFC championship.
well,
and or the
what's
Super
an
Bowl.
example? Who do you think's an elite team?
The 49ers is an elite team.
You really think the 49ers are an elite team after they lost to the Bears last week on Sunday?
I think they
When they
have
were-
the, I think
they
have
were
the
controlling the
capability.
game
I think they
the
have
entire game.
I think they have the capability of doing it. What else is going on? I don't know. I have to study them a little more, but I feel that they have the capability to be an elite team. I think they have an elite team. I don't know what they're not doing as far as execution is concerned, but like I said, I have to study a little bit more of the 49ers. I'm not a huge 49ers fan, but
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying
know.
about the Colts. Like, I think they have an elite team. I think that Andrew Luck being the leader, I mean, look at the things he's doing, even with his hard call. He pulled them
The hard
offside.
count.
The hard count.
Yeah.
He pulled them offsides 3 times. Like, he's smart and he's good. And I feel like an elite team starts with an elite quarterback, and then he's
That's
got
true. I
the
agree
players
with that.
around. He's got the players around him, and not that I'm saying that San Francisco's not an elite team. I mean, I get it, they lost, but you know they've also got a pretty good team. But I don't see the Colts having a bad season. Like, I see them,
No,
turning
They're
this
off
around.
to a rough
very
start.
But-
Reggie Wayne is coming off of an injury.
right.
Ahmad Bradshaw had an injury last year as well. We have T.Y. Hilton, the other receiver. You're missing Robert Mathis, who was their leader in sacks on the defense.
But not even that. You have Andrew Luck, who's having a bad couple games.
Right, no.
Have him connecting and making good passes. The other players will perform. They feed off
That's
his
what
energy.
I'm saying is just there's a couple guys coming back that he has a good, above average core. He's an elite quarterback. It's just a matter of them gelling and how that offense is going to develop. It's week 2, so they're coming from behind, which is going to be a struggle. But it's just he has the pieces. It's just whether or not they can. I feel like at least that it's just
Right.
whether or not they can kind of gel and get that groove going.
We
Develop
shall
that.
see.
Yeah, right. Develop that run game a little bit more. Get their passing game a little bit more crisp, and
Right.
because that was the problem is he was struggling to connect with a lot of the receivers tonight.
Eagles play Redskins next week.
Right, so it's an in-division rivalry
Colts
there.
play Jaguars next
Yeah, I
week.
was going to say Jaguars.
So that'll be a great matchup
Yeah,
for the
if they
Colts because
lose-
the Jags,
are terrible.
they're not terrible, but it'll be
They're not great. But it is being played in Jacksonville, and they do have, drum roll, pools in their stadium.
yeah.
Really?
Where were you at Hard Knocks when we were covering it?
Oh, that's
they
right.
have
You
the
missed that
suites.
one.
Did I miss that episode?
I don't know, but
Womp
you can
womp.
get for like
No.
10 grand. You can get a cabana that's like you're watching the game in a pool.
Like you're basically in Vegas at the football game in the pool.
Damn.
Yeah, it's awesome.
We
That's
need to
dope.
go.
I mean, they
That's
got to do
sexy.
what they.
Why do they not have the Super Bowl there one year? It's been
Maybe.
hot. Like you know what they could sell that box for at the Super Bowl? Probably like $200,000.
Yeah,
A lot.
yeah, but it all
Hello,
depends
marketing
on.
people, where you at?
lots of other
bidding and all this,
factors.
I get it, but I'm surprised that they're not trying to make that happen there.
Hey, maybe they are.
Okay, so what happens with the Redskins and Eagles next week?
I think
don't
the
know.
Eagles
RG3's
win that
hurt.
easily. RG3's hurt. Deshaun Jackson's hurt. Who knows if he's
Yeah.
going to play?
Okay.
The Redskins are struggling in general right now. Yes, okay, Kirk Cousins led them to a great victory
Right.
in this last game, but he's, I just don't know how much I really believe in Kirk Cousins as a leader quarterback.
Right.
Well,
So
Go ahead.
it'll be a good matchup, I think, but I still think the Eagles will win.
Well, I think the thing too with Cousins, because we saw him last season as well some, and I feel like when RG3 gets hurt and he has to go right in, he's great. When he knows he's gonna play, he kind of gets in his head a little bit about it.
Yeah.
It was like he was on this, like he didn't think he was playing Sunday. You know what I mean? And then
Right.
all of a sudden he's like in there and he can perform. But now he's got a whole week preparation and he's gonna be thinking about stuff. And I'll be interested to see if his performance is as good as it was on Sunday.
I totally agree with you. So that's part of my reasoning for why I don't fully believe in him.
Yeah.
I want him to do well because I feel like RG3 has kind of made everyone in a way not like him. All of this that's been happening, he just can't keep his mouth shut. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he's kind of, it's like,
It's kind of true.
and he's freaking made of glass, man. The
Right.
fool is made of glass.
Yeah.
Did you see his ankle snap?
Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
it was really gut wrenching. It was hard to watch,
Yeah.
but he is so injury prone, and I just
A lot of it's because he's a crazy runner. You know what I mean? Like he's got no.
He hasn't. I don't think he's learned. He's not settled yet. He's still a young guy, and a lot of the ways he was running in college is just not gonna work in
Yeah.
the NFL.
It's
not a recipe for longevity, especially when you got guys that are much bigger, stronger, and faster. The game is
Yeah.
much faster than it is in college, and you're not that much. I mean, he's fast. Don't get me wrong.
No, he's fast.
He's blazing. He's got wheels, but just the game is different. So you're not going to be able to run the same way. Like a Michael Vick, and that guy actually took his beatings along the way. He's taking a lot of punishment also, so he's gonna have to settle in a little bit.
Well, he thinks he's indestructible, and he's the hard way finding out that that's not the
Let
case.
me tell you, bruh. You
Yeah.
better protect yourself because your endorsement deals comes with you playing. And if you're hurt, you can't play, which means your endorsement deals are gonna go out the window. So protect that money, sit in the pocket, don't run as much. Because Tina Cap says you're made of glass.
Yeah, I think you're gonna end up. I think you're gonna end up as a great analyst on maybe ESPN, Fox Sports, one of those.
Whoa, she went there.
Yeah,
Holy shish kebab.
I did. I went there.
She's digging
RG3,
deep.
you just a head case, man. I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Okay,
So does everyone agree that the Eagles are gonna win, or does anyone here think that the Redskins will win?
the Eagles should win that game.
No, yeah. Go
And you
with
think the
Eagles.
Colts 100%
Should
over
be
the Jags?
Yeah.
So let's move into predictions for next week.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Week 3?
M&F, week 3, September 22nd.
3? This is the German 3, right?
I don't want to talk about this.
Like, what was that movie? Inglorious Bastards.
what was
The
that?
German 3. 3. Okay. Anyways, Steph, please tell us who plays in Monday Night Football next week.
Next week it will be the Chicago Bears playing the New York Jets.
Uh-oh.
Jets, Jets.
S-U-C-K. Suck.
Oh, we're gonna have to see how that goes down on October 5th when I
You
play
know
your
what?
Chargers.
I have a lot of Bears friends, so I think I'm going to borrow a Bears shirt and wear it next week.
All right, dude, I can
Because you
handle
said
it.
you were going to wear your Jets
I
shirt,
will-
right?
Well, yeah, you weren't supposed to tell everybody.
Oh, sorry. Oh,
But now,
I spoiled
yes.
it.
No,
I
it's
spoiled
fine.
it.
So
So obviously, okay, you can go first in your prediction because we all know who you're going to choose.
oh yeah, I mean, honestly,
A real fan will keep it real and say when they know their team is not going to win that game.
so what I was gonna say is, honestly, I thought that we were gonna get spanked this weekend by the Packers. And what I learned this weekend is that number one, I haven't been putting enough faith in Geno Smith. I think he's actually a really good quarterback. Got it. He threw He threw an interception. It changed the game around at the end. We lost. We got a really shitty call with that timeout at the end when we were 4th and 4, and we went for it, and we got Curly a touchdown in the end zone. Like, it was, he's making plays. He's young. He's smart. I actually, like, we almost beat the Packers. I really do think, like, I am not that fan. Like, I'm not a sore loser. I'm not a sore winner. If I know I'm going to get crushed, I'll say I'm going to get crushed. I will still root for my team and pick my team. Yeah. But I will know that, and I honestly think we got a chance and that we are going to win Monday Night Football. I think we're going to do it.
Well, I told Steph earlier that the Bears are a team that win the games that they're not supposed to, i.e. against the 49ers on Sunday, and they lose the games that they're supposed to win. So there is a chance. There is a chance for your Jets, but I am going with the Bears. I think that
that's okay.
Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall, Matt Forte, Jay Cutler played really well on Sunday. I just think that I think it's going to be the Bears. Thaddeus, who are you choosing?
You know what? If I had a quarter in my pocket right now, I could really flip a coin on this game. But just my instinct will tell me that I'm going to go with the Bears. I'm going to have to go with the Bears in a nail biter. And something's telling me that the Jets might win this game. But
it's a home game on Monday night.
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
The New Yorkers are going to be going football, nuts.
The Jets are going to be at home. I mean,
we just came off a loss that we were pissed. Rex Ryan is fired up.
Yeah, I don't know. Those are the intangibles that, like, logically make you think, Jets might mess around and win this game.
Right, there's intangibles in both teams. The Bears are coming off of an unexpected victory. And
so
the
Jets,
they're going to be feeling themselves, thinking that they're better than they really are.
Well, maybe not. Either that, or they're going to have a lot of confidence and go into the game with a lot of energy and fire and let's do it again, back-to-back wins. And the Jets are like, okay, it's time for redemption. We could have won that game, and we got
stupid too. We got penalties. We got some Ferguson got thrown out of it. Wilkinson got thrown out of the game. Like, Rex is gonna go in there. He's gonna regulate. He's good at discipline. We're gonna win that game Monday. We're gonna win.
Okay.
We'll see. I guess.
I gotta make my thing. I gotta believe, dude. I gotta believe. Yeah, that's it.
Until next week, fellas and ladies. I'm Christina Kaplan. You can find me at Tina Cap.
I'm Thaddeus Massey. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ClubThaddeus and GQJedi.com.
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at IAMSTEFZ. Go Jets.
Go Bears. Oops.
I want to give a shout out to my UCLA Bruins for whipping up on Texas this past weekend. Yes, thank you very much. 2-0.
Whatever,
3-0,
Jets.
sorry.
Week 3, here we come.
The Jets play twice on Monday Night Football, too. So I'm going to have to hear it from you guys again in a couple weeks.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Bye, guys. Thanks. Have a great night.
Holla. Till next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
Yeah, buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.